Hey Petra, you recently came up with this idea of running a workshop about how is social focus embodied and how is it related with the body. You must have a very good reason for picking
Yes,
this topic.
I
Can you
do.
please let me know how solution focused and brief coaching can be related with body and body language?
So actually, I am fascinated, and that's actually my interest at the moment from learning my own development, how there is a connection, a very close connection between our body, mind, and emotions. And we kind of sometimes we behave as if the body is more or less like a container that carries our precious mind, and the mind is me, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
But actually, there is so much more. There is a lot of happening in our body, and that is influencing our thinking and our emotions. And it's all connected. You cannot even say where's the starting point. It's just connected. And there is for example, when you're thinking of a lemon, of a delicious, really sour lemonade,
Yeah.
you just actually, you start already, your face is changing. Actually, you can measure how our saliva is produced
Yeah.
just by the thought. So the thinking is influencing our body. And it's also the other way around. Our body is influencing our thinking and our emotions. I was reading a book, which is really interesting by a journalist. It's written, Why Einstein Didn't Wear Socks. And he is, as far as I know, it's just in German. I don't know if it's translated into English, but he put a lot of research together and put it in there. How is our body influencing our thinking? And one thing I found there, what was really interesting is when in some cases of depression, it can be helpful to jump on a trampoline regularly, because jumping is something that our body gets the information of joy. Yeah, just the body movement of jumping is an expression of joy. Look at children, look at football
Yeah.
players, soccer players. Yeah, it's an natural expression of joy. So when you bring the body into the natural expression of joy, it gets the information. I am joyful, I'm happy, and it influences our thinking and our emotions.
Yeah.
So these are just two examples that make us aware of how much there is such a close connection between the body and the thinking and the emotions. And my interest is that, and I'm using that in my coachings, that we just use that. We just use it because it's happening anyway. It just happens anyway.
Yeah.
And to make use of this in the coaching sessions, when we see changes of energy, when we see something that's happening, we just bring the attention, because one of the important competences that we have at ICF is creating awareness.
Yeah.
And bringing the awareness of what is happening right now. And the body is just an amazing indicator what's happening right now.
So tell me, I hear you. It sounds fascinating, and I'm still working on the connection, on the link with solution-focused paradigm or approach.
Okay.
One of the most common used quote from Steve DeShazer is like, "Found out what works and do more of it." How can you use this raised awareness? How can you use all of these walking awareness?
In solution focus, we work a lot with differences.
Yeah.
Looking at what is the difference. Yeah. And I would like to invite you to a little experiment right now, just to see and experience how the connection is of thinking, body, emotions, So when you think of a situation that is a little bit creating a little bit of heaviness, something that's a challenge, and when you bring into your mind, and you let a little bit your body follow a little bit this, like you feel a little bit collapsing under it. Maybe you just sense it. And just notice when you're going into that, how are your emotions right now? What are your feelings? What are your thoughts? How is your breath at this moment when you recognize you have a little bit more collapsed body position? Maybe there's some tensions in your body. Maybe not. And notice when you're from this position, yes, you're looking into the world right now.
Yeah.
Just looking out. Yeah. And now I invite you to take a deep breath, just once, and just give yourself a little uplift. Yes, yes. And just when you're breathing, just kind of feeling like you have a little uplift. And when you breathe down, you just have this nice verticality, you're sensing it. And you feel the alignment while you're breathing in. And when you're breathing out, there's a certain softness when you're breathing out. Yes. And just feel the space around you. And just recognize how your breath is now.
Lighter, yeah.
And just how is it now when you're looking into the room and when you're looking into the world, and maybe even looking at that topic, which brings a little bit of challenge into your life at this moment. And when you have the feeling of lightness and having the sensation of being above, what becomes possible then? And when you're more connected with yourself, how will that impact the connection and the interaction that you have with me and the outside world?
I can choose whether I wanted to deal with it or I can move on it.
Okay.
So I feel less attached to this topic.
Yes.
And feel more options to do instead of dealing with it. Yeah.
Okay. And when we would have more time for coaching conversation, that would be an interesting point to explore. What are the options?
Yeah.
And how might other people recognize, you know, that you have more options?
And maybe how to maintain this.
And how to maintain that
state of mind. Yeah.
Yes. And what is different right now when you're aware of that state of mind? How does it feel in your body?
Brings my attention from between you and me to me and myself.
Yes, and connecting.
Yes. Yeah.
And when you're more connected with yourself, how will that impact the connection and the interaction that you have with me and the outside world? Yeah.
I feel like I can work with more details or more information.
It's not about not talking about the interaction that you have and that you're bringing into the world when you are at your best, because that's often what we do in a solution-focused way. We are inviting the client to stepping into the solution by, just suppose you're at your best, the miracle has happened, however we asked. We have many ways how we can invite the client to step into that being at your best and the preferred future. And in the preferred future, we invite the client to look at, I like to call it, we create a movie where we are the director, we're creating the movie, we are the actor, because I see myself interacting with other people. And I'm the observer. And this is what we're doing when we invite people in the solution focus, in this preferred future. And what, just as another dimension, just to create the awareness that this is happening at this moment right now. It's not just something in our mind, it's happening because our body is changing, our body is influencing that. And that's, for example, I love to work with, when we invite people into the preferred future, I love to work with the space. And that's one of the things what we're going to do in the exercise and the training. So I really have a different place where I step into, with the client, into the miracle state, into the preferred future, and see what is different now. How are you interacting different? How will people recognize all these questions that we're asking? And what is different right now?
In the body.
In the body. And there is really a difference, because while you're experiencing it at this moment, and you know, and you create the awareness that it's experiencing right now, nobody can tell you anymore it is not possible, because you know it is possible. At this moment, you know you're experiencing.
Experiencing a difference in the body is kind of a proof that it's possible. What you're working on. What sort of change does it make in your coaching conversation once you invite people, to pay more attention?
I'm just curious about when I see things happening during the coaching conversation, and I bring even more flashlight on this. That's what we normally would do. I had this coaching client. She came to me, and the topic was about assertiveness. she wanted to be more assertive. She wanted to have more impact in how she could influence people. And one topic, she said, I have a very high voice. And that's why people don't take me serious. You know, she had a very high voice, and I could understand why she said, people don't take me serious. So, and we were working, I was working, you know, just suppose the miracle happens. And, you know, like we normally ask these questions. And she started to see what is the difference, what she will do differently, all these things. And while she was talking, her voice changed. And she started to talk, because it's all connected, you know, it's all connected. And she recognized how her voice was changing. And I said, do you recognize how your voice is deeper now? How you're speaking much more slower? How you're talking in a different tone? Yeah. And just actually, do you recognize what is different now when you hear yourself talking? You know, I didn't describe it, because I just said, do you recognize what is different now? And what difference does it make for you when you're talking from that place? And she recognized how it was something, how she had this groundedness. And when we talked about, so what helps you to stay in that groundedness, and how do you feel it in your body, and how can you cultivate it, and what you can take with you when you have difficult discussions, that you go to that place, and from this place you have the interaction then with the people. And she got a lot of ideas about what she can do to go to that place, you know, and to build up the confidence, because it's also connected with confidence. It's so many other things, you know, with perceptions, and it's all connected. In the end, what we want to have a different interaction with the world, because the interaction is changing the impact. So I'm absolutely with this in the solution focused way. And it's just using the body as one more source of insights, one more source of generating ideas, one more source of experiencing the solution. And there's another aspect which I think is important for coaches, is that also how can we take care of ourselves? Yeah, because also one of the competences on the ICF is about presence. It's about presence, it's about groundedness, and being, you know, holding that space for our client. And that's the same. How can I take care of myself so that I'm in that space? And it's much more easier then to invite the client into that space of presence. Yeah. And that is the beauty, what I recognize again and again. And that is possible also when we're working online. And I think we need it even more. We need to be more even conscious about that, how we're doing this, because it is not so maybe coming so natural, like when we're with a person in the same space. Yeah.
What I really like to hear, Petra, and it sounds for me very attractive, that you wanted to use the body as a source for insights, as you said, and to work with this source in the coaching conversation.
It's not about interpreting, but anyway, we are always choosing, we are always building on something, what the client says. And it's not only words, it's something, the space that maybe in between. We recognize there's a shift of energy. There's this moment of relaxation. There's a deep breath, you know. We're observing that when we reckon, oh, something is happening here. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it makes me curious. Yeah. And that's it all. That's all it is. And we do it anyway. You know, when we're looking for something, we're observing the whole person. We're not listening to the words. I'm recognizing, I'm working as a mentor also for mentor coaching. And sometimes I just get the script. So I prepare myself, reading the script. And with the script, you only have the words. Yeah. But when I'm done reading and watching then also the recording, there's so much more what you can see, you know, in the break, in the time that the client has, you know, the smile that comes off, the way how the client is breathing, you know, and all this is there. And there you can see how the coach does not pick up this information, which is there. Yeah. And that is something I'm sure we are doing this anyway. We're using a lot, not interpreting body language, not when I'm sitting like this, you know, I'm doing like this, but I'm just recognizing when there's something happening. Yeah. And we use it, and just to bring more awareness of this, and to also to have the client to get the awareness. because sometimes we just use it, but sometimes it's just enough to recognize what's different now, and just ask and let the client discover what is actually happening right now. And how is that relevant for our topic? What's happening right now?
Yeah. It sounds like a raised consciousness for the coach to pay more attention and invite the client to this, and also a good chance to the client as a raised consciousness about being present or different sensation in the body.
Exactly.
And last but not least, is a very good opportunity for us coaches to develop into a more conscious, more mindful coaching conversations.
Beside the solution-focused work, which I really love, and everything what I'm doing is based on that, my first training was Matthias Wacker von Kiewit in der Sparre about systemic structured constellations. And in constellation work, you move the body and you're stepping into different states and you're stepping into different elements which are relevant for that. Yeah. And you have different body sensations there. And it's a very, an extremely useful tool to recognize how we can have different states and how can we make use of that. And I just, without interpreting, it just happens and that's it. Yeah.
That sounds really nice. And especially, I think that's something what we really need in this online world, and having different conversations on the same screen.
Yeah.
This is very important to recall that we actually have more feeling, a way more sensation in the body than we pay attention.
And I see that I use it also in my coaching, especially when I'm working with managers and I have this coaching session. They're squeezed in between, several meetings. And I recognize them sometimes, and they say that, I had this meeting, I'm just so out of my mind. Just to give 2 minutes, 3 minutes time to breathe, to arrive, have a short mindfulness practice, getting them back in their body, and then to start the coaching conversation. Just take these 2 minutes sometimes helps to make the whole session, so much more effective.
So do you invite your client to breathe before you start a coaching conversation?
Yeah, just a very short moment, connecting with your body, just how you're sitting right now. How's your breath? How you're sitting? Just, slowing down, arriving, getting a little bit out of the busyness, out of the brain. What would you like to focus on for our conversation today?
Even with clients you don't know before? So with at the first sessions?
That depends. It might be something useful and I just offer it. And it's 2 minutes,
Yeah.
What can go wrong with 2 minutes?
Yes.
And if it was not useful.
Yeah.
I like to offer it, especially when I recognize that I have the feeling the person did not yet arrive, And then I invite the client to say, in all the busyness, which is now happening, and it will continue to happen. We have just we have 1 hour, and let's just see how can use this time right now. Bring the attention to the breath. And that's the same, it is just happening. When you bring the attention to your breath, when you take a bit deeper breath, it has an impact on your vagus, on your vegetative system. You don't need to want it. You don't need to, you don't need to be experiencing mindfulness. It's just an automatic reaction of our body.
It works by itself.
And that's also something very often people confuse mindfulness, that you have to sit for 1 hour and you sit still and you don't think of nothing.
Yeah.
I don't manage to do that. It's just being aware of being present and starting. It can be a small 30-second exercise.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to just to say or add that those who are listening here and are also interested, just like me, or excited about this whole topic and wanted to learn more into the details, we invite those people for 2 mornings, 2 time half days. It's the 27th of April and the 11th of May from 9 to 12:30. It's going to be online in the Central Eastern European time. And you can find more details on solutionsurfers.hu or .ro. Both. Yeah.
Both. It's a joint project that we're doing together.
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much, Petra. I'm already feel myself way more uplifted and more connected to my body. So even this short conversation was a joy, and I really benefit a lot from it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aaron, for the invitation for this conversation. I enjoyed it very much, and yeah, I'm looking forward to continue that.